Hi, my name's Paul Howlett. I'm 52 years old. I've been living in the Northwest for 20 years, as you can tell by my accent. I'm looking to raise £10,000 for the Breaks programme. My challenge that I've set myself is cycling 1,200 miles in 7 days. So this year in June, I raised £2,700 for the Breaks programme and cycled in between my youth hostels. I swam 8 miles, cycled 160 miles and ran 100 miles, linking all the youth hostels in the Northwest together. So I thought, right, I have to up the ante on all respects. I want to increase the exposure throughout youth hosteling, and so I thought, right, I'll cycle because I can cover more youth hostels, and I found out that the most raised was £6,000. So I thought, right, I'm going to raise £10,000, and that's why I came up with the challenge. The previous event that I did in June worked really well. I want to be as self-supported as possible, so I dropped off some drop boxes, and in the drop boxes at each youth hostel I was staying overnight, there was toothpaste, toothbrushes, change of clothes, chocolate treats, some different things like Vaseline, Sudocrem, which I'll definitely be using. And so that worked really well. I'll have spare bits of kit as well, so a couple of months beforehand I'll be dropping off the bits of kit at the youth hostels. On my bike, even though it's a road bike, I'm going to use in-frame bags, they're called, and I'm going to have spare bits of kit, because the worst thing is if I have a spoke go on my wheel, which could jeopardise the whole event. So I'll have spare spokes, I'll know how to fit them and everything like that. So I'll have the route obviously planned on my phone, so I've got my phone connected to the bike, I've got chargers, so fairly quite a bit, but like I say, I want to be self-supported rather than have a car or a van following us. It's a Giant, it's called TCR Pro. It's got disc brakes, it's carbon fibre, it's a proper race bike, but it's comfortable. I went to the experts, Giant in Blackpool, they're a family business. They offered to support us, give us all the coaching and everything like that, and asked them, what would be the best bike. I'll have the bike longer term, so it's got to work with me normal training, but it is an amazing bike. It's got a power meter, which I've never used before. So basically what it does, it tells you how much power I'm delivering through my legs. So, and this is all about day after day after day. So I need to be as efficient. I don't want to be, climbing up the hills, blasting it up, and then dying for the rest of the day. It needs to be, speaking to YHA University, making sure that the power that I deliver, whether it's 200 watts as an example, I stay under the 200 watts. So the bike is absolutely key to it. It has to be safe. It's going to be serviced beforehand. I need to understand it, that it's going to be under 1,200 miles. It's going to be carrying a slightly heavy person all the way. I need to know how to change punctures really quickly. So it's a key part of kit, and it's a lovely colour as well. I do like the colour. Going to be supported by UCLan, which are a University of Central Lancaster, because previously, honestly, the training that I've done loads of different events, but I've never followed a training plan. I'm really bad at it. I love being outdoors. I train all the time, whether it's swimming, cycling, running, but I think for this such a big event, I really need to be focused, and I'm tapping into as many experts as I can, like I say, the route planning, the training, nutrition, everything like that. So training, previously I'd think of an idea, go all guns blazing, and I'm pretty good at not getting injuries, fingers crossed, but I'm quite often start running out of steam towards the back end. So this time I've started off September, I've just started easing back into just focusing on the bike. I've got a number of bikes I can do, with the weather's, if the weather's bad, I can still get out on my bike. If it's really bad and I can't get out, I've got things like turbo trainers, so I can continue the training and follow a plan. The key part of completing an event is being fit enough to do it, get your nutritional plan right, and definitely focus on the maintenance, but also getting your head ready for it. I don't think I have a problem with my head. I can say flick a switch or focus on that, so I know I can do that. The nutritional side, I have struggled over the last couple of years when I've done big events, so I wanted to really pick up the experts on that. I also wanted a proper training plan, so I wrote to UCLan, which is Lancashire Central Universities, and they came back to us and said yes, we would love to help. They want to do it as a bit of a thesis with the master's students and other students, which is great because I wanted to share the experience. So the plan with them is they're going to help promote the event and promote YHA. They're also going to do all sorts of testing, which I'll share on social media. So they're going to do a sweat test, which will be lovely, hydration, nutrition. They're also going to do like threshold sets, so that they'll push my body to the limit to know what I can deliver day after day after day. They've mentioned all sorts about the students will be, I don't want support, but they can potentially come to some of the hostels and meet us there if I need a physio and stuff like that. And then at the end of it, potentially, I'm going to do a bit of a presentation to the students about me experience. So quite excited. I've never had anything like that before. It's amazing, and the facilities are ideally set up. I think I mentioned Sean Conway's had testing before, and I think they've tested the Brownlees. Not that I ever put myself in that group. I'm sure they'll be quite disappointed by the result, but I've always said I'm Mr. Normal, so we'll see. I think keeping yourself motivated, I think you've got to be able to get up early and get out, and I think over the last couple of this week as an example, Monday I'd planned to go out, and it was just absolutely pouring down, and I thought, I was only planning to go out for an hour, and it was very easy, and I didn't go out. Getting that work-life balance as well, because work can, sometimes like everything else, you can be busy. So it's keeping that motivation there, doing it for the right reasons, but most importantly, enjoying it. I think that's the key part of it all. So I'm very much at the planning stage, and the more I get into it, and honestly, like the £10,000 as an example. So people are going, Paul, if the amount raised was £6,000, why didn't you go for 6,100? I'm not that type of person. I'd rather go for a real target. I've never raised. The most I raised last time was 2,700. I've never raised that much before. So £10,000 a real challenge. It really focuses my mind. I've got to do things that I've never done before. It's really pushing me boundaries. And the same with a bike. 1,200 miles is a lot. The more you look into it, the more you look at the distances. I go out for a normal person. I go out for a 15-20 mile bike ride. I'm going up a hill and I'm thinking, I've got another 150 miles of this. How am I going to cope? But I've done a number of events over the years, and I think there's a little switch in your head that you switch and just goes, right, it's just the here and now. So focus on, if you can pedal, or if you can run, or you can swim, you can do that stroke, just keep going. And I'm very, very good at that. I've proved that umpteen times. So yeah, it's nerve-wracking now, but I think on the day, it'll just be, right, Paul, go. This is what you do. The key part of this is raising £10,000 for the Breaks programme. I'm really lucky. I think I've got the best job in the world. I've been working for YHA 2 years and 1 day. I'll give you an example. I go to Langdale a couple of months ago, and we had a group came from Manchester, the 11, 12-year-old. They went out for the day. We did activities with them. They turned up in white trainers, backpacks, no waterproofs. So we helped get them all sorted, and we just spent the day of doing activities. And I was walking back with one of the girls, and she said, "Sir, I'm just absolutely shattered." She'd been out all day, fresh air. And you could just see over the 3-4 days of how it affected everybody, and if it can, switch on one person and that, changes their outlook of things, helps, model their future, then it's worthwhile. It's absolutely worthwhile. So the money raising motivation is very easy. For the training bit of it, I love being outdoors. Like I say, I feel like I'm the luckiest person alive. I go into every day I get up and I head into either the Lake District or even Manchester and Liverpool, and they're just amazing places to see. So I just want to share that as much as I can. My mum and dad were huge advocates of the outdoors and getting us involved in sport. I've got my sister's 2 years younger than us, and honestly we were collectors of hobbies. I did amateur wrestling, I did weightlifting, I was a swimmer, got into cycling. There seems to be a lot of lycra and leotards involved in that, but I really enjoyed just trying everything. I had 9 fish tanks, and even now my dad's 80 and my mum's mid to late 70s, challenging the Northwest, and I did with youth hostels that came along on the last day, and it just made it all worth it because I shared it with the whole experience with friends and book with family. So I'm class myself as being really lucky with the upbringing I've had. They've always been supportive of every weird and wacky things I've done, and they continue to support that, and hopefully I've followed that up supporting my children. My son's big into swimming, and now he's getting into triathlon. I didn't mention underwater hockey, which we got involved in, and I ended up playing for Great Britain for that. So honestly, I had a superb, real close-knit family that have, even an 8-year-old are 100% supportive. So I've managed to qualify for Great Britain in 2 sports. So the first one I qualified was underwater hockey, and I was really lucky. I travelled the world, so and it's quite a niche sport, to be fair. It sounds impressive playing for Great Britain, but I played in South Africa, New Zealand, all over Europe. A lot of the training was focused on how to do cycle and swim, so it really complemented the stuff that I enjoyed. I retired, and now my son's got into it, so I've come out of retirement and I'm now playing with him. So that's one sport. And then I also qualified for triathlon, both Olympic and sprint distance. I would say that was my age because I'm, as I mentioned before, I'm 50-year-old, so I managed to qualify at 50-year-old. So I think where everybody's basically breaking, I'm quite robust, heavy boned, I think my wife calls it, but I can continue on. So I love the training. I continue through, as I say, I'm jack of all trades, so I haven't really focused on one, so I've been lucky enough not to get injured that often. There's a 3rd Great Britain qualification potentially on the agenda, but we'll see about that one. I think it's a bit of a rite of passage for some people. I was 18-year-old. I used to take, a long time ago, I went to cycled from Newcastle through Kirkby Stephen and into the Lake District, and we stayed in a couple of youth hostels, never heard of them before. It was my friends that recommended it. I took my little sheet with my pillowcase. I had jobs to do, washing dishes, the 18-year-old, that was a bit of a shock. And then honestly, never thought anything of it from then. And then, as I mentioned, YHA Berwick, I started the event there, and you had to do write-in registration. I stayed overnight. I did a swim at Windermere, and we stayed at teepees, and Triathlon X was at Ambleside, and you go in and I'm thinking, they have Wi-Fi, and they have, serve lattes, and they have teepees and lap pods, and my background before then has been pubs and restaurants. Never really came on the radar up until I started doing these events and saw what they do. I didn't at the time register it was a charity, and honestly, when I started, I applied for the role. It was similar to the role that I was doing. I wanted to come out of pubs and restaurants, so the charity side of it honestly wasn't the big part of the reason coming into it. I thought it suited my experience and knowledge of the role of hospitality, but also I love the outdoors. And it wasn't until I actually got in and got involved, the charity took a huge step and understood the impact, because we talk about the Breaks program, which focuses on families with really challenging lives. Some people have never experienced the outdoors, they can't afford to come out, but on a day-to-day basis, I see families that, they might have a bigger car, but that might be the only holiday that they get because their parents work all the time. So you can see all the influences there. The other thing is, the staff and the team that I work with, they get it as well. They love the outdoors, the buildings that we have. They've got a real passion for the buildings because we're custodians of some amazing places. And they want to be out and they want to share with families that have maybe never come to the area. And like I say, working with school groups is just fantastic. So I can put my day job to a side for 4 days and actually work with a group and see how they develop and grow. So I honestly, it's every day my boss goes like, "How are you doing?" "Loving every day, Lauren. Loving every day." And it's right. I really enjoy the job. So day one, I'm going to be setting off from my home really early. I think it's going to be in June, so that we will have the lighter mornings. It does stretch it out. The reason I picked June, which really worked well this year, was the balance between I am staying overnight in a youth hostel, so more into the season, the youth hostels get booked up. I'll be staying in one of the rooms. I want to be utilising the best time, but not impact on the youth hostels. So that's why I chose June, and the weather tends to be better there. So I'll be setting off 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. The first stop will be the Sill, and that, I think that's about 120 mile in on Hadrian's Wall, and then I'll be basically what I'm going to do, which I did in June, which worked quite well. I've got a book, which is my little travel book. I'll get a youth hostel stamp in each of the youth hostels, so each one has an independent stamp. And I've asked the hostel manager, the team, or anybody joining us to write in my little book, and I want funny comments, sarcastic comments, well done comments, because I can read them, and it'll motivate us to continue on. And then I've got a long stretch up to Berwick. That'll be my first overnight in the most northerly youth hostel. So on day one, I'll be covering the newest and the most northerly youth hostel, and that is the longest day, so it'll be 192 miles. So I'm not starting off easy, and then it's probably one of the hilliest. So I'm not going into the Lake District, but you've still got the Pennines to get over. So day two, from Berwick, I need to get further south quite quickly. So it'll be an all-day stretch down to YHA York. It's probably the best place to stop. I looked at Newcastle, but it's too close to the coast. So I'll be staying overnight at York, and then day three, and that's around about 170 miles. So it's the first day is 190, and then you're averaging around about 170. So that should be a straightforward route. It's quite a busy route. That's my only concern. So it's a real balance between speed and keeping safe. So from York, day three, I'll be travelling all the way down to YHA Cambridge. Another one just to get south, because a lot of them are starting to head south to tick off the most easterly. So that gets into day four. So from Cambridge, I'll go over to Blacksall, which is the most easterly, and then I'll be getting to Lee Valley with the overnight in Lee Valley. So I've done the newest, the most northerly, and then the most easterly. So day five, I leave Lee Valley, and then I cut right across country to St Breville's, which is the castle in Wales, and then I'm staying in Y Valley. And I believe, I've never been to Y Valley before, but I believe that it's quite hilly getting down into it. Day three and day four aren't overly hilly, they're just long days. So from Y Valley, I've, like I say, picked up the castle. So then day six, I go to the Street, which is the oldest youth hostel. That is still debatable, because I think Coniston's up there as well, copper mines, but Street will take as the oldest. And then I go to Oakhampton, for the overnight, so that gets us into Devon and Cornwall, and that's where the distances shrink, but it's very hilly and the roads are really technical. So, and I think I'll be tired then. I think generally what they say within endurance events over long times is over the 7 days, your body adapts, your mind and your body goes, oh, this is normal. Unfortunately, 7 days is probably not enough. so each day it'll be going like, so I'm probably on the 7th day, I'll be going, right, I'm fine, let's get sorted, and I'll be finished, hopefully. So from then, Oakhampton, I'm then picking up Lizards Point, which is the more southerly, and then finish with a short cycle to Land's End, and then I'll be staying overnight. I haven't sorted any logistics about getting home, so I'll be relying on probably the ops managers to help us, and picking all my gear and everything like that. But I'll worry about that further down the line. I've got 3 children, and honestly, my son and my younger son Joshua and Karen keep us absolutely grounded. So I come in and go, I'm getting interviewed by YouTube and YHA, and they go, great, that's like fantastic, well done. I'm going out training, I'm doing this. I think it's really good. Joshua, he's a national swimmer. He's doing all the events with us now, and all he wants to do is beat us, which I can understand. So the motivation is not be the old man getting dragged behind, just trying to keep pushing. So that's the kind of motivation. But honestly, I couldn't have done it without my wife and my family and my whole family, because it's a lot of time out there. It's I'm coming back and I'm absolutely shattered. But yeah, they definitely keep me grounded. that's what they're experts at. I've got a Just Giving page, so I'm trying. I'm not great at social media, but I'm learning. So I'm on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook, and I've got a Facebook page called the YHA Epic Adventure, and I'm also on Instagram. I've got a web page which I'm sharing as much of the experience as possible, and it's me training. I'm on Strava, so you can see all me training rides and everything like that, because I want to share it. I think I find it interesting looking at people, and you'll see that I'm not mega fast. I'm not breaking many records, but I can still do these long events, and I think if I can motivate other people to either raise money for any charity, but raise money, and but also have a go at something that you just think is unachievable.